Okay, take it away. Our speaker today, Bruce Moon, he's going to talk about his how he got home from being in the Peace Corps. So I'll keep it short and sweet. Bruce, take it over, and we'll get your photos up right now, and let's make sure everybody can. Can you all see Bruce's first photo?
Yep.
Okay, good. Take it away, Bruce.
Okay, when we first came to we ended up in our Peace Corps training going to having to do it in Hawaii on the Big Island, and this is Waikiuka, a little school, and you can see the two of the barracks that are kind of off in the back, and we had 17 married couples that lived in those. And then the other single people were up in the main house here. Um, no, next, John.
Yeah.
So this was the inside of the. We just used shower curtains to in order to demarcate the our bedrooms from each other. And some people lived on cots, and some people had obviously there was a bed here in the right. Next,
What year was this, Bruce?
this was in 1965, and this is basically in Malaysian Borneo. This is how the river you everything was done by river, and that's a buffalo, water buffalo that's being brought on board a Chinese launch, and you can see that they're obviously having to pull the thing on board. But so we were in Borneo for the for 2 years, and next, and here we're basically they're still using um, these are E-bonds, and so we would go out and um, into the longhouses and uh, the E-bonds were that's a blowpipe, and you can see that they. I brought one home, um, a blowgun. It has hornbill, ivory, and a spear at the end, in which the wild boars could uh, kill finish the pigs off. Next. Because I was they didn't when we trained in Hawaii, they couldn't figure out a way that we could train together. So I wasn't. My wife and I sacrificed my our careers. Was my late wife, and she. So she, I became once I got off the plane in Kuching, uh, Sarawak, Malaysia. They said, "Oh, you're an engineer. You go to the work for the Public Works Department." And my late wife ended up working for the Education Department. And so here I am teaching surveying. Um, Next,
What year did you graduate from Stanford?
uh, I graduated I'm in the class of 64, but it took me into the 65 to finally graduate.
And what did you graduate in?
Mechanic or civil engineering.
What did you specialize in?
Civil engineering, and then ultimately I went back and did a master's in when I got back in 1967.
Hey, come here.
Yeah, well, when I say civil engineering, like I graduated from there, but my specialty was concrete and steel. So did you have a specialty like that? Mine was structures.
Well, I was I guess a sewer pipe mechanic. I don't know. Did you have Richards?
Professor Richards?
Yeah,
Cedric Richards?
yeah.
Yeah, I I had him, but I think I had him for like materials engineering.
Yeah, well, that's kind of why I remember uh, remember him, and for some reason I ended up with doing some stuff. Any rate, that's those years are way behind me.
Yeah, so you were sort of like a general civil engineer.
Yeah, I considered myself as, if the fluid went downhill, I could do it. So a sewer pipe mechanic.
Okay. By the
Next.
way, I was an upperclassman, Bruce. I graduated a year ahead of you.
Oh, it's
And Walker,
in '63.
yeah, I graduated in '63. And what year did you graduate, Bill?
67.
Well, there you go. You're a real underclassman.
Yeah,
Yeah,
no fooling. He's really young.
Yeah.
I'm really young, fellas. I graduated in '75.
Oh my
Oh,
goodness. Yeah.
okay.
So, well, I've got a legacy going. Even though my grandkids don't like hearing that term, but my daughter and son also went to Stanford, and then ultimately the grandkids are. Uh, I got a granddaughter and a grandson. A grandson is he's just graduated and he's at UCSF doing. Um, I think he's going to go to med school. So
Wow.
anyway, but this I wanted to this now back to Borneo. This is a surveying crew that I had, and next these are land diacs, and the land diac you can see the uh, they were raising corn on this is hill kind of hill paddy, and so these guys were up probably 1,000 feet and eating fresh corn.
Oh,
And next, one of the other things I was doing was because I'm an engineer, I ended up with building a bridge across a river there, and the river had a 28-foot tidal uh, um, drop, and so it'd be depends on the tide. So the tide would come in, and it'd be raise the water level 28 feet, and then it would uh, for the when the tidal effect went out. So what we ended up doing was pulling this um, the uh, the bridge across the river. We built it on one side with these built up girders, and then using winches that were left over from Japanese occupation during the war. We were able to pull it across the river, and you'll see that. I mean, it was we we would use jacks then to because of the cantilever. Yeah, the jacks would we ended up just meeting the other side, and then we'd raise it up, and so you could head on to the next pier.
wow.
Next,
So did you guys engineer that, or did somebody else engineer it and you built it?
uh, somebody else engineered it, and we built it, and yeah, it's, we had a. This was left over. One of the things that was happening during that time was the Vietnam War, and that was one of the reasons that the Australians and British did not join Vietnam or help us in Vietnam. The reason was because they had their own problem with going confrontation. So we had one of the things that was going on here was that as the colonies dissipated or decreased in number, then the Her Majesty's Colonial Service would be kind of left over, and so and left over, and I say to going to Sarawak and Malaysia. So this was an interesting time.
Yeah.
Next,
You must have identified with the movie The Bridge Over the River Kwai, huh?
yeah, well, yeah, and this was, of course, because of the water transportation is really all that we had at that point in time. You'd go up and down the river, and so you got here's my late wife. She was washing her clothes. There's some friends that were shaving and washing clothes, and then you can see the guy up in the middle there doing the uh, dishes, and then who knows what the guy at the far back is doing, but you did everything in the river.
Yeah.
Next. Okay, now that was Sarawak in East Malaysia, and now this is we're heading off, going on our starting our journey from Singapore to Munich, and this is obviously me and my late wife, and this was the first. This was a Volkswagen Fastback that we're driving, and it actually has um, the this is the first time that people had ever seen a 12 volt electrical system, because normally they had 6 volts, and that created some issues up and throughout the journey, and the so this is at the we're just leaving Singapore, heading up into Malaysia.
Bruce, you've got the German export plates on the back of the car there. Zollkennzeichnis.
Yes, you should do. Yeah, well done. And what I did is back in the day, and I don't know, maybe if anybody, perhaps you guys would remember, you could get a tourist, um, you could travel in Europe, and you could buy a European delivery, get a European delivery, and then they would ship your car to you in the States. And so that's kind of what we did here. That actually, the car was shipped from Germany to Singapore, and then we picked it up there and then drove it back 13,000 miles.
So
Next.
I mean, it looks from the picture that you drove on the left side of the road, correct?
Yes, it looks like, yes.
And so the native automobiles, where was the steering wheel, on the left side or the right side?
Uh, well, in this particular case, because I bought it uh, for the U.S. Delivery, it's on the left side.
But I mean, like those other cars in the picture, where their steering wheels, on the right side or the left side?
They'd be on the right side, yeah.
Okay, I got you. Thank you.
And as a matter of fact, it would depend on where we were as to where how you drove. And you can see in some cases it didn't really matter whether it was on the left or the right. Next. So here we are now in Penang. This is on the way up to Penang, which is in Malaysia, and or the Malayan Peninsula. And so this is an old church, obviously left over from God knows where. But the next, you can see that there's my car, and there's Water Buffalo and the sea. And um, next, this was the Parliament building at that point in time. This was in Kuala Lumpur, and so this was very modern at the time. So it was probably in this. Well, obviously, it was in the 60s. And interestingly enough, I mean, when you see pictures of Kuala Lumpur these days, I think that actually there's Kuala Lumpur has a tremendous or very high, some very high skyscrapers and bridges across, and so I mean it looks totally different than what we see today. Next, here we are at a Thai temple in obviously one of the fellows that's now looking at checking his feet, I guess, is we traveled with him off and on. Um, so there was the three of us that he ended up traveling with us and at several points. His mom was killed or not killed. She was injured in an aircraft accident in Thailand, and um, I think several people were actually killed in the aircraft. She survived, and he didn't even find out about it until uh, uh, she was survived, and because of the way the mail is. But these are you can see that they're obviously we're looking at some cameras and anyway, next. These are rice paddies that in Thailand. So as we're starting over, and you could see this from the train. Next. So I had my car shipped from Penang to Calcutta, and originally we were going to go down to Madras and come over, but we couldn't get a ship that would come from Penang over to Calcutta. So this was our kind of our first drive, and I picked up the car. It was very interesting going through the go down in um, to pick up the car, and fortunately I had had hired a fellow that could would help us uh, pick up the car. And so as we would go through this, he would basically everybody in this go down had to view the papers, and so he would look at the papers, and somebody would sit there and say, "Oh, they couldn't read the number or something," and then he would be right behind with some bucksheesh, and so you just basically bucksheesh or just a little tip, and so he just kind of handed out these bucksheesh to everybody as it went through. And there was probably 20 people that had to sign off on the paper, with stamps and this kind of thing. And so that's how we ended up finally getting out of here. And so we were staying at a YMCA kind of facility, and the water was marginal. It's so it's very often that if you were taking a shower, you'd end up with having to dry off with still still having the soap on your skin. Anyway, so
Bruce,
this
how did
was,
you travel from Penang to Calcutta?
pardon me,
How did you get from Penang to Calcutta?
that was a boat. We had to hire a boat. So there's a shipping line that would go back and forth between Penang and Calcutta.
Wow, interesting.
Next. Next again, I guess. And this is the Grand Trunk Highway. Um, so you can see that obviously you can see there's wide shoulders, but this is the pavement. So you would just basically um, drive down the highway. And one of the things I learned very quickly was the fact that you needed to be uh, on have your hand on the horn, because with the horn, at least people would know they would be totally taken by as a shock if they, all of a sudden you couldn't they didn't hear your car. And so as a result, you just kind of like beep, 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 beep. And so that's kind of how we got down the road. And there'd be on the Grand Trunk Highway here, you would be uh, there. There'd be so many different keys. There was actually be a breakdown on the trucks would be all of a sudden, a truck would break down here right in the middle of the road. And so they would just, for several days until they could get the parts uh, back, you just kind of went around it and so would go off onto the shoulders and they would just camp uh, underneath their lorries. So next. This one is, again, you can just see the uh, uh, trishaws and the and wagons. Everybody's that's really how you did it. Next.
Hey, Bruce, it's Pepper. You haven't mentioned it, but it seems like there's very few cars. Is that the case? Were you like the rare exception and the odd person out having a vehicle?
Well, we probably were at that point in time, and so you'll see that as we're actually headed up. That was from Allahabad, uh, and then we went up into Nepal, and so we're kind of up in this is a Chinese temple up in Nepal. Next.
Bruce, did you carry gas canisters with you? Gas?
Yes, we did. We had a
There can't have been many gas stations on the way.
No, there aren't. And so actually what you ended up with, they had aviation fuel so that because the other fuel was probably was the octane was way too low, and so we would carry um, aviation fuel in the car, and then you'd be able to top it off with with the gas that was there. Um, and you'll see a slide a little bit later where we ran out of gas at about a mile, 2 miles uh, after a gas station. But you can see here, this is a monkeys, and they're everywhere. This is a Buddhist temple. So next.
So this is Carol. I'm confused. So you're driving this car that's a VW fastback
Right?
and you're fueling it with airplane fuel?
Yeah, that's that's correct. As I recall anyway. Now I'm thinking of, you know, um, in some cases you could, well, we could get fuel, and even though you're saying I looked here and and see that you're right. I don't see many cars on the street. 'Cause these are all uh, uh, uh,
So like
tricycles.
your car can handle the
Yeah, no, that yes, it's just a higher octane fuel.
oh,
So it's yeah, it's so it was you did it with you could you could get the higher octane fuel that was better for the car.
Anything that explodes will work, kind of.
Yeah, well, okay.
Yeah,
So
yeah, but it sort of sounded. This is Tom. It sort of sounded like you used the aviation fuel, and then you topped it off with the regular gasoline. So it's sort of like a mixture. Correct or incorrect?
I think That's funny you mentioned that because I don't recall, and so it obviously um, I'm not sure if we did what we did. I do know that we did have a 5 gallon can of gas in the car that we did in the trunk.
It- so, Bruce, I'm taking it at times it wouldn't start the car with ignition, so you would have to push it and jump it.
Yeah, actually, in this particular case, we didn't. I don't recall that we had that problem. So that was,
Okay.
yeah,
Because I think David's right. As long as it explodes, you're in good
yeah.
shape
There you
apart
go.
from ignition.
It's okay. So is that a guy thing? Because I'd be terrified to put in something that exploded into my car.
Gasoline.
Because why won't my car blow up?
Well, gasoline explodes all the
Yeah,
time.
but did you want to go? The question is did you want to go through India?
Well, no, I would have gotten a couple of those water buffalo to pull it.
Yeah, there you go. Well, that's yeah, where we are now. You can see here we've got with the monks and the cows and because with the Buddhists at that point in time, everything was they were very as a matter of fact in the Peace Corps was we were the volunteers, some of them would joke about it because the Peace Corps would sit there and say, what they're going to try to do is they'll start in the south and they'll start working north and to push the cows up north because the cows are all kind of all over everywhere. And as you see here, there's a street scene and there's a cow in it. So it's that's just the way the way life is.
Hey, and Bruce, just out of reference, I just looked up airplane fuel has an octane level of 100, whereas kerosene, which was probably much more widely available, is 25. And for reference, most when you go to the pump, you're usually getting 88, 90 octane.
Right.
So you were balancing it out there probably between some kerosene and some airplane fuel.
And probably maybe we were just running on 100% octane too. I don't know. I don't remember.
Yeah.
Next, here's just another, a temple shot with kids and I guess those are probably pigs and lions. So next, there's my wife, and these are all. This is a Buddhist temple, and you can see the elephants and those are all prayer wheels, and so you just spin them and say the prayers as you go to along each prayer wheel. Next, and of course this is just a great uh, uh, statue of well, this is of the top of a temple, as a matter of fact.
So I have a question. This is Tom. I have a question. So I see the elephants in that previous slide. So I don't know. Is in Buddhism is an elephant like a sacred animal, or is there some kind of meaning to that?
Um, you know, I think, as a matter of fact, the elephants do have a significant, and I'm trying to think. I think it's more a Hindu type of situation where the elephants do have uh, so this is a blend probably of the Hindu versus the Buddhist.
Yeah, there's a very prominent elephant god in Hinduism.
Yeah, for sure.
Ganesh, I think is his name.
Next.
It's more complicated because Ganesh's father chopped his head off and then stuck an elephant on it because he felt
No,
bad.
no, yeah,
But
no. I mean,
Shiva is his father, and yeah, it's complicated. But he can sweep that trunk. He can sweep aside obstacles. Is the big thing about Ganesh. He can remove obstacles with this huge trunk.
There are just so many religions in that part of the world that we just uh, we that's what's really nice about California in a sense because we do have this the religions are just kind of all over it everywhere, and the you'll see that as we go through uh, on this the journey here is that the amount of I mean the between the uh, Buddhists and the Zoroastrians and the Muslim and it just goes on and on. And Hindu, Tibetan. Uh, so at any rate, it is pretty remarkable. And I don't know, are you anybody familiar with kirtan by any chance? Which is the call and response type of uh, Sufism and that's not Sufism, but Sufis are one, and the Jayu Tal. You know,
Yeah.
if you've ever had the opportunity to listen to him.
So
Next,
the Sufis, they were the missionaries. So they went to convert, but because they were moving all throughout towards the southeast with their missions, they also became traders, and that was one reason why um, the Islam could move so quickly. It was the Sufi trading network.
yeah, and of course that's the whirling dervishes and there's all kinds of of traditions that are surrounded by that. As a matter of fact, here we are on the screen right now. This is a Tibetan um, encampment. Uh, the Chinese were coming in and to and into Tibet, and so this was a Tibetan refugee camp that we're seeing in Nepal here. Next, and there's a that's just a street scene in Kabul.
Ah,
Next.
Bruce, tell how long did it take you to travel from Nepal? Well, what day are you on here? Having started day one in Calcutta.
Yeah, well, actually, it took us about 3 months by the time we ended up. And the interestingly enough, when we got home we're both from well, my wife, late wife, and I are from Denver, Colorado, and so we were getting ready to show our slides one night, and we couldn't get anybody. We were going to show them in the living room, and everybody seemed to be in the basement. And the reason is that it was the last night of the Fugitive. Does anybody remember the Fugitive by any chance? Yeah, that was a series, I guess, on TV that everybody we couldn't get anybody up to see our slides because of the Fugitive. So
that
anyway,
was a British miniseries, right?
I think it was English, wasn't it? But
Yeah.
yeah, I don't know that I can't even remember. But the but this was a typical kind of construction you're seeing here with the that's mud huts and then obviously the straw uh, on the roof. And then you can see the terracing um, but kind of behind. If you look at that, those are all terraces that maybe are only 10 feet wide at some point in time, but the water usage was really pretty incredible. Next. You can see here this is a couple of a couple that are milling. Their job is milling flour, and so they'll grind. They have a grinder grinding stones, and I think there's a better picture of this is a little further down. Next, this is we got the mud huts and of course I think there was a pretty major earthquake that was happened uh, several years ago in Nepal. Next. Yeah, you can see that there, the behind the woman is a stone, and you can see where they put the the basket that they've got in to put the grain in, and then they would mill the flour underneath it. Next. And one of
Bruce,
the
would you
things,
remind us where we are at the moment?
well, yeah, we're in Nepal.
We're still in Nepal. Okay.
Yeah, and as it turns out, uh, this is the Chinese were coming in, and so this is a Chinese road, and so you can see the red flags. So the Chinese built the road, and uh, next, and so you can. This was some of the people that we ran across, and this is now in Nepal, obviously still.
Interesting that the Chinese were building roads in other countries even then. Pretty
Yep.
early days for the Belt and Road Initiative.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. They've been, of course, with that when you have the number of people that, I don't know if that, um, and particularly probably they were not working for uh, real wages yet. Next. This turned out that this was during the Six-Day War. And I don't know uh, if you remember the Six-Day War, which was Israel and um, uh, well, and the rest of the Middle East. Um, but Israel, so when drove in to Nepal, it happened to be the start of the king's birthday, and so that's the king and the, you can see that in the parade ground, and this was the king's birthday, and so we were there for 6 days and really didn't have any idea of what was going on as far as and so when we drove back out again, uh, it was kind of like the war was over. So the 6 day war was we were obviously in 6 days in in Nepal, and but it was the king's birthday. So next, at some points in time, they would have the Raj Path is a road that goes up and over the Alp. No, let's see, not the Alps. It wouldn't be the Alps. It's
Himalayas?
yes, thank you, the Himalayas. And so one of the things that would happen is that they'd have all of these rock slides. And so at some point in time, here I am, and I'm you can see that with the shovels,
Oh,
um, they're getting what they would actually do. I was enlisting these guys to carry my car over the rock slide here. Uh,
oh,
so but everybody picked up the car and was able to just kind of carry it over the the slide.
Amazing.
Triple A.
Yeah, that's right. And next, now we're kind of down back into India, and that we were having in Bihar state, and the uh, the the rivers were all dry. This was they were having a real bad drought, and so people were. You can see there's not much. There's a water buffalo and bird, and then you can see a little bit of a pond. Next, there's the wells, and you can just see it. This is pretty grim. Next. Now we're coming up on the River Ganges, and of course, this is a fellow that's saying his prayers, and this is how they would go down in the morning and bathe in the river, and as part of the uh, you can as far as their ritual. Next, and you can see that there's a lot of people doing it, and so uh, you'll see a little bit later that we really suffered with the crowds. But obviously, I didn't have my car here, and we were able to get off and take in a sense, a boat tour of just seeing going up and down the river as to what people were doing. Next, you can see here they're doing laundry, and this is how they were doing it. And there's this beautiful the these are the people would have these palaces on the water and behind, so you can see some of those. And so this is still on the Ganges. Next, and at the same time, I don't know if you've ever heard of the burning ghats, but this is how they would used to do with the um, how you would uh, dispose of bodies. They would do they would just burn the corpse, and sometimes in back in the day I think the wives used to have to get on the fire as well, and so but in this particular case I don't I think the burning cats were are not happening.
One
Next.
one of the most memorable movies around the world in 80 days was they David Niven rescues Shirley MacLaine, who plays an Indian widow who is supposed to die, sacrifice herself in the flame with her husband. And so that was pretty gripping if you
Yeah, no, that's what happened. That's what they used to do. Yeah.
yeah.
Actually, what I was going to try to put on here is there's new burning new gaps, which is there's these huge sculptures that are um, namaste sculptures that are on some of the ghats a little bit further north of here, and so it's things have changed over time, and these things are huge, so they're probably 30, 40 feet tall. These huge uh, uh, prayer hands. Namaste.
Uh,
Next, this we were rescued finally because the crowds were so incredible here that finally somebody grabbed us and said, "Here, you need to look, come up the stairs, and you can look down on it." And so, people were because otherwise, if you're in this crowd it's incredible. So the fortunately uh, we were able to survive this. Next,
Wow, a real adventure, Bruce.
yeah. And then the next, after going to the Ganges, we ended up then going to Khajuraho, which is a very interesting temple. And this has all the, at this point in time with in Khajuraho, the secret was to do all of the monks used to be uh, the young women of the temple used to be given to the monks in order for uh, uh, being excess. Um, if you, as long as you had excess of everything, you could find a nirvana. And so, so you can see here they had all kinds of different ways in order to have sexual orientation. And so these were just some of the things that were on there.
Yeah,
Next,
the Kama Sutra came from that, right?
kind of, yes, I guess so. But the other thing which I wasn't showing there is that it's very arid there. It used to be totally underwater, and now the picture, one of the pictures I didn't include, was you see that this temple and there's just uh, there's no water around it at all. It's interesting. Next, go back. This, of course, is the Taj Mahal, and the so that as we're going east and or west, sorry, we're still going west, and so from Khajuraho, then we went to the Taj Mahal, and the it's an incredible place. There's no question about it, and the with the reflecting pool and uh, there the I want to say Shah Jahan, I think that was his name. He was this was built according to his specifications, and he was going to build another one, a black one, on the other side of the river for his wife. But he was, I don't know if he deposed or killed beforehand. Next.
Yeah, he died, and his wife was Mumtaz.
Yeah, did you, yeah, John, you probably know more about this than I do as far as, because you guys did this world tour.
Well, we
I
actually
must, didn't you?
no, you got one up on me. We didn't get to Accra, um, so but we read about it. Incredible, um, and it's very interesting now, because there's this Hindu nationalism. And there's a lot of tension between the Muslims and the Hindus now uh,
Yes, there is. Yeah,
and so they're really in a bind if their number one tourist attraction is
it's Dodge.
put up by a Mughal. And the whole story of the Mughals, and that we could do that sometime. It's just a incredible story, and a lot of it starts in, interestingly enough, Kabul. But we can talk about that when we get to Kabul.
Well, one of the things that we noticed here in the at the Taj was as far as you could reach, some of the stones, these were, you probably can't see it, but those are all precious stones that are in included or in uh, they're set in the marble. And so, but people would would pry them out over the years. And so it was very interesting to see. And of course, as you went up the in looking up at those, just an incredible artwork that's in that. And fortunately, we were able to go and see it at night as well as the day.
Oh,
So
wow.
had a couple tours. Yeah. Next.
Okay, so Bruce, be looking for a natural stopping place where we can start
Yeah.
next week, and we'll probably want to leave a couple of minutes for.
Well,
Uh,
probably, I think the next slide is probably going to be take us into Srinagar, isn't it? Yeah. We can we can just start here if you want.
okay, so this is where we throw it open for more freestyle questions.
Well, we sent everybody home, huh?
So this is Tom. I'll ask a question. So uh, what made you join the Peace Corps in the beginning?
Well, the it was interesting. This, Kennedy started in, his presidency. Um, I guess trying to think of how that worked because I remember when Kennedy was assassinated. I was at Stanford at that time, um,
63.
and then also 63 is when I got married, um, and so yeah, I guess it was we got we got married in 1963 in August, and so he was killed in November, right?
Right.
Yeah,
November
and
22.
so at that point in time, we got a marriage deferment. If you remember that we were able to get for some reason it was a week after we were married. Then they came up with, oh, if you're married, you get a deferment. So we had that, and then we went to uh, uh, so the question is, how do we got to Peace Corps? Um, the Peace Corps you know, was just something that we were just totally interested in, and at that point in time, and as I say, we started off sacrificing our careers and going to uh, Borneo as 4-H people and community developers. So that's kind of how we got there. And I don't know.
Yeah, it was a tremendous period of idealism, right?
Yes, yeah, for
And
sure.
Kennedy, and maybe even his assassination boosted that volunteerism.
Well, we've read. I don't know if you guys have read An Unfinished Love Story by Dolores Kearns Goodwin. And Goodwin was a speechwriter for Kennedy back in the day when he was just starting on his stump, and they would go out for, there would only be 7 people that would be you know out to see him at that point in time, and until he got ultimately elected, and then after we got to LBJ time, which is also a very interesting movie if you're interested in LBJ. But the uh, anyway, yeah, it was that speech that he gave to that start Sergeant Shriver. All of the kids that were out in Michigan at that point in time, waiting for him to say something. And he was Kennedy wasn't even he was reluctant even to go outside. But then they said you got to speak to him, and because everybody was up at was it midnight or 2 o'clock, 2 in the morning when he spoke, So it was that was as you say, very, very positive. Everybody wanted to go out and save the world.
Yeah. Amen. Well, we'll continue to save the world next week. So, Bruce, we'll pick it up from here.
Good deal. Well, thanks everybody for listening to
Thanks, Bruce. That's fun to
my
travel.
rambling. What's that?
It's fun to travel along with you.
Oh, well, that's an amazing trip. So
Cool.
Pepper
Look forward to more.
and Pepper's so young, he really benefits even more.
Right.
yeah, that's right.
He is a child. Thank you. The pictures are amazing. I
Yeah.
can't believe you guys did that. So how many of you guys went to the Peace Corps? Because you guys have traveled all over the place.
Oh my. We've been back to Sarawak. As a matter of fact, I just went to a program on Sunday night about the Borneo project, which is really trying to, we're trying to save and carve out a part there. The rainforest down there is just being pummeled by timbering, and so it's really sad to see what's going on. But the uh, yeah, it's an amazing place. And we have been back. I've been back with my current wife. We've been went down and have been back to Kuching and to see the changes that have been made there. It's remarkable and to see.
Yeah. Well, thanks, Bruce.
Excellent.
Thank you, Bruce.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
thanks a lot, Bruce.
Yeah, thank you. Good deal, John. Thank you.
Yeah. Let's see. I'm gonna